Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see or tell, we are obsessed with the waffle stitch and we still have more amazing projects to come using this stitch. I'll make sure I create as many projects as I need to make for working with this stitch because I've fallen in love with it. The texture is dense, it's amazing, it's non-see-through. It is mind-blowing. Sorry for the birds outside. So today we're going to learn how to make this Pinterest inspired crochet dress. It's a turtleneck design and it also has a fringe at the base. How amazing is that? So we're going to make it in a short version so that we don't create a lot of heat because the yarn that I'm using is definitely a little bit thick. So I'm going to create a mini version, and that is the same exact style that is in the inspirational photo. So I'm going with this beautiful mustard yellow color, and it's more like dirty yellow. It's not really mustard, but it creates a very good effect. It's the same exact color that I used for my waffle stitch maxi skirt and the waffle stitch halter top. So today I'm going to just make a long tube that we shall shape later on. So when it comes to this approach, it will suit from size extra small to almost medium to large. For the larger sizes, this is not the best approach for you guys. And if you would like me to make another video that suits several other sizes, just let me know down in the comment section and I will be able to create one that suits any size above the large point. And let's jump right into the materials. You will need a measuring tape, and the measurement that we are going to consider for this tutorial is the hip circumference. This stitch shrinks, it's a tight stitch, so you will also need a 4mm crochet hook. The yarn that I'm using is Winter King. It's a 4-ply acrylic yarn. It's a DK weight yarn, and I used about 8 to 10 balls, so that's roughly 1,200 yards to 1,500 yards of yarn. That's what you need to have. And then a 4mm crochet hook, a darning needle, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape. And let's jump right in. If you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops, of course, and all the links will be in the description box below. We're going to make a foundation chain, and we're starting off with a slip knot and making a chain that can wrap around our hips comfortably well. Not when stretched, just give it a little stretch. Because this stitch shrinks, it's a tight stitch, so I'm just going to make a chain that can wrap around my hips comfortably well. And that chain is going to be a total of 40 inches, which is the hip circumference that I'm making for, but should be a multiple of 3. So let's begin. So I started off with a chain of 150, and you can see without stretching I have about 34 inches, but when I stretch it slightly it goes up to my 40 inches that I intend to make for. So we are here, but if I stretch even further it goes up to about 45 inches. So your chain should be a multiple of 3. You're going to make sure your chain is not twisted, and you're going to make a slip stitch into the very first chain. So that will create a ring. So we're going to start working in rounds. You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then you're going to go into that same exact chain with 1 double crochet, and then continue to double crochet once in each and every chain all the way around. Alright guys, for the sake of demonstration of the stitch, I decided to make a small sample, otherwise we were going to sleep here. I decided to start off with a chain of 60 so that everything is in frame. So I'm placing my last double crochet into the very last chain, and we are winding up our very first round with a slip stitch into the very first the first double crochet of the round. Remember, the chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so you're going to go on top of the first double crochet of the round and place a slip stitch. That marks the end of row 1. Row 2, you're going to make a chain of 2, which still doesn't count as a stitch, and then you're going to go into, you're going to turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. You're going to go into the very first stitch with 1 double crochet, and then you're going to make a front post double crochet into the next stitch. So go behind the stitch and push the post of the stitch to the front and finish up with a double crochet, just like that. So if you have already tried out the halter top, you already know what a front post double crochet is. So from here you're going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next. One double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, a front post in the next. Alright, so let's repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of the round. This is round 2. And definitely this is going to be the front or the right side of your work, because this is where the texture of the waffle stitch is going to be. So 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet. Repeat that all the way around. I'll meet you back towards the end of the round. Alright, so we're coming to the end of round 2, and I'm placing a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and I have only 1 stitch left, and that stitch will get a double crochet, just like that. And then you're going to wind up with a slip stitch into the very first double crochet of the round. So this looks like there are 3 stitches in between, but remember the chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so count this one and this one. So that means in between the 2 front post double crochets we only have 2 double crochets, since the chain of 2 doesn't count as a stitch. Now we're going on to our next round, which is round 3. You're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. You're going to go into this double crochet here and place a front post double crochet, just like that, and then place 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then from now on the repeat is 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next, 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next. So repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of the round. So this is going to be the back side or the wrong side of the skirt, the one without the waffle stitch texture. But it's also going to be textured in a way that you can even go ahead and wear this skirt the other way around if you love this texture instead of the waffle stitch. So let me go around and I'll meet you back towards the end of round 3. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 3 and I'm placing my 2 front post double crochets here, and then I'm placing 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and you should end with a front post double crochet into the very last stitch. So yarn over and place a front post double crochet into the last stitch of the previous round, just like that. Skip over the chain 2 because it doesn't count as a stitch, and slip stitch on top of the first front post double crochet of the round. Now we're going on to round 4. You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. Turn your work, and you're going to go into the very first stitch, which is this one, with a double crochet, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Make sure you turn your work every time we work. At the beginning of every round, turn your work so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous round. So now we are on the side where the waffle stitch is supposed to form, and you can already see it forming. So from here, front post double crochet into the next, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next. So the way to see that you don't have any mistake is these lines have to be in a straight line. Where you place your front post double crochet, the stitch should look like a front post double crochet, which is this one. So the ones that recede or move backwards get only 1 double crochet into each, and then this one that looks like it's popping on top gets a front post double crochet. So repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet in the one that pops out or towards the top of the surface. So go all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning here. So we're coming to the end of round 4, and I'm placing 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, a front post double crochet in this one that looks like it's popping, and then into the very last stitch, which is this one, I'm going to go in there with 1 double crochet, and then skip over the chain 2 and slip stitch on top of the first double crochet of the round. So this side that looks like it has 3 stitches in between, of which there are only 2 because the chain of 2 doesn't count as a stitch, will be the same line at the back of the skirt. Now we are going to keep repeating rounds 3 and 4, 3 and 4 again and again. It's a 2 round repeat, and we are going to keep working that until we get the length of the skirt that we want. So you can see how our waffle stitch is already forming. Don't forget, round 3 you start off with a chain of 2 and turn your work. Make sure you always turn your work and work in the opposite direction of the previous round, and then front post double crochet into the very first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next, and repeat that all the way around. 2 front posts and 1 normal double crochet, and this is what the texture at the back will look like. But when it comes to the front, we have this waffle stitch texture. So let me go ahead and work my big piece until I have a length from my armpits all the way down to where I want my dress to stop. Okay, so we worked our rounds again and again until I got a total of about 25 inches, and that's the length that I want to consider from where I want my dress to end on the thighs all the way to under the armpits. I have a total of 25 inches, but you can do whichever length that suits you. Now what we are going to do is to count the boxes that we have here for our final round. I've ended on a round that's on the right side, which resembles round 2. So this is the side where the waffle stitch is. I'm going to count from this box here, the one that has the stitch marker here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 and 40. So I have a total of 40 boxes around. Now I'm going to subtract 2 inches on each side, this side and this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold over like this. I'm going to just eyeball. I'll consider this box, the one on the side and the one behind it, and then I will place stitch markers. So just place your work like this, and then you're going to mark, if you can see this, we are considering this box, and this box. So the boxes that you're considering, you're going to mark the stitch after that box, just like that, and then do the same exact thing on the other side. So this one, and this one, so the stitch right after the box, and do the same exact thing on the opposite side. Get another stitch marker. We're considering this, and this, so I'll mark this stitch here, and then get your stitch marker and mark the stitch after the box, just like that. So you can remove this stitch marker. So this is what we have. We're not going to work in panels because you're not going to work in rounds. You're going to create the armholes of the dress, and we have literally we're going to eliminate a total of about 2 inches, 2.5 around there to 3 inches for the armpit area. So you're going to grab your yarn, after your last stitch here, you will just make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. That's it for that part. Now we are going to start working in rows. So grab your yarn and make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous row. So that means we turn our work onto you're going to attach your yarn in the stitch right after the stitch marker, in that stitch there. And then you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then double crochet into the same exact stitch, double crochet into the next, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So the pattern remains the same. The only difference is now we are working in rows, not rounds. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. One double crochet into the next, and 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So you're going to repeat that until you come towards the end of your row or towards your next stitch marker, and I will show you how to wind up your row. Coming towards the end of the row, and we've placed our 2 front post double crochets here. You're going to place 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 1 double crochet into the stitch before the stitch marker, and that marks the end of this row. That's what you'll have. And then we're going to make for our next row, which is row 2, You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then turn your work. Into the same exact stitch, you're going to place 1 double crochet and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. Then you're going to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet into the next. And that's the repeat for this row. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next stitch to create the waffle stitch on the right side of the work. So keep doing that until towards the end of the row, where I'll show you what to do next. To the end of the row, and I've placed a front post in this one, and the very last stitch will get a double crochet, just like that. And then we're going on to the next row, which is row 3. You're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. Turn your work, 1 double crochet into the same exact stitch, the first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next, and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So this is 1, and then the next stitch also gets a front post double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the next, 1 front post into each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next. So all the way across. Until towards the end of the row, and I'll show you how to wind up. So right now we are on the wrong side of our work. Row 3, and we are placing 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. So we're going to keep repeating row 2 and 3 for a number of rows. I'll be mentioning how many rows that I'll do, but keep repeating rows 2 and 3 in order to grow this upper part of the dress. So from here, it's from your armpit all the way to your collarbone. That's my intended measurement. So I'll be letting you know how many rows that I'll do in my next clip. Okay, so we ended up doing a total of 6 rows. So from here we have 2, 4 and 6, and we've ended up adding a total of 4 boxes of the waffle stitch. Remember, each box is made of 2 rows. So this is what we have, and now we are going to split and create an opening for the neckline and continue to work upwards in order to create a shaping for the neckline. So get your stitch markers. You can remove these ones that we have already used, and I'm going to count 3 boxes in, starting with this one. Just ignore this part. 1, 2, 3, and into the next stitch after the front post you place a stitch marker, and then 1, 2, 3, and into the stitch after the front post you place a stitch marker there. So now we're going to start working back and forth for a few more rows to create the shoulder shaping that will go onto the back panel. So we've ended with the right side, and we're going to just make a chain of 2, turn your work, and now we are on the wrong side. So you go into the first stitch with a double crochet, and then double crochet into the next, and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, just like that, and then double crochet into the next, and repeat that. 1 front post in each of the next 2, and then double crochet into the next. Keep doing that until you come towards your stitch marker that you just placed. and then a double crochet into the next. So when you come here, you remove the stitch marker and place a double crochet into that stitch that had the stitch marker, and then from here you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work, and then work the row on the right side, the one that creates the waffle stitch. So you go into the first stitch with a double crochet, and then front post into the next, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet into the next, and then keep repeating that until you come towards the end of your row. So I'm placing a front post into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the very last stitch of the row, just like that. So we're still working the same exact row. The only difference is this time it's shorter. So what we've done right now is adding 1 extra box. We want a total of 3 boxes still, just like we've done here. So we're going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until rows 2 and 3, because this is the same exact process. Rows 2 and 3 of the short rows until you have a total of 3 boxes of the shoulder shaping or the neckline shaping. So we have made our 3 boxes, and then you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, leaving behind a tail for joining. Pull through, and we're going to repeat the same exact process on this side. So you're going to grab your yarn and make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous row. You're going to attach your yarn in the stitch with the stitch marker, just like that. And now we are on the wrong side of the work, so chain 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, go into that same stitch with a double crochet into the next, and then 1 double crochet, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet into the next, front post in each of the next 2, double crochet into the next, front post in each of the next 2, double crochet in the next, and then double crochet into the last. So that marks the end of row 1 on the opposite side. So from here you're going to just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 of the short rows so that we create the waffle stitch. Alright guys, once I'm through with balancing both sides, I'm going to make a chain of 1 and cut my yarn, leaving behind a tail for attaching, and then pull through. So this is exactly what we have. Now we're going to turn our work onto the back side, and we're going to repeat the same exact process. So just rewind the video to that point when we had the stitch markers here, there at that point, and we're going to repeat the same exact process. So making sure that you're working on the wrong side of your work or in the opposite direction of the previous row. We're going to attach our yarn just like we did for the first side, and then we're going to repeat the same exact process. So just rewind the video and repeat the same exact steps, and I'll meet you back when I'm done with my second side, or the back side or the front side, whichever is the same, because we're following the same exact instructions for both sides. Alright guys, once you're done with balancing both sides, as you can see here, you can get rid of the stitch markers at this point because we no longer need them. And this is what you're going to have. Now we're going to turn our work onto the wrong side, or just flip your work over. Just flip it over to the wrong side, and this is what the wrong side looks like. The texture is also rich, but not as rich as the one on the waffle stitch side. So what we are going to do right now is get our darning needle, and we are going to join the shoulder seam. So get one of the tails that you left behind, those long tails that I told you to leave behind for joining, and we're going to start joining the pieces together. So what we do is to go stitch to stitch, so into the first stitch here and the first stitch on the opposite side, and then pull through, and we are going to keep repeating that all the way across the shoulder seam. So I can't find my usual darning needle, that's why I'm using this one. But whichever you decide to use, you can even use your crochet hook and crochet across with a slip stitch or a single crochet stitch, as long as this part is joined together. Okay, so I'm going into the very last stitch and I'm joining it as well, and then at this point I can remove my darning needle and tie the two strands on this end together just to get rid of them. Just tie a double knot just like that, and then you cut off the excess yarn. And this is what we have on the wrong side, but on the right side this is exactly what we have. So you're going to repeat the same exact process for this shoulder seam, the second shoulder seam, and join it together to the one on the opposite side, and I'll meet you back at that point. Alright guys, we are done with the two shoulder seams, and this is exactly what we have. This is the progress of our dress. Let's see what it looks like at the moment. Alright guys, this is what our dress looks like at the moment. You can see the neckline has been shaped, as well as the sleeve openings, and then going downwards. So let's continue to work on our dress in order to get a beautiful design. We are now going to work the neckline of our dress, and to do that you're going to first clean up the border of the neckline, and you're going to attach your yarn in any stitch. I'll attach mine in this corner here, in one of the stitches, and then I'm going to single crochet in that same exact corner. And then when it comes to these rows, the double crochet spaces or the double crochet rows, you're going to go into each row with 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then into the next row 1 and 2, just like that, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So you're going to place 2 single crochets in each and every row, so this is my last row, and I'm placing 2 single crochets there. Now you're going to go into the stitches themselves, starting with a corner stitch, and then continue to single crochet in each and every stitch across until you get to the second extension, and you'll do the same exact thing that we've done here. Alright, so when you place a single crochet in the corner here, you're going to go onto the second extension and place 2 single crochets in each and every double crochet row. Just like that. So go all the way down to here. Okay, so we've reached the corner. You're going to place a single crochet there and then single crochet all the way across the last side of the neckline. Alright, so I'm placing my last single crochet into the last stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. So that has cleaned up our neckline opening, as you can see here. Now we are going to start creating the ribbing of the neckline opening. So you're going to make a chain of 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. This is how thick I want the ribbing to be. If you want it shorter, you may consider 11 chains, but this is going to be my thickness. Let me see. Yeah, this will be the thickness of my ribbing for the neckline. So you're going to go into the second chain from the hook and single crochet there, and then single crochet all the way back to the body of the dress, going into each and every chain with one single crochet. So you'll have a total of 15 single crochets, since the 16th was the turning chain. So continue to single crochet all the way back to the body of the dress. Just like that. So once you get back to the body of the dress, you're going to go into the next stitch with a slip stitch. So insert your hook and pull through all, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. And then you're also going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So what we are doing is slip stitching into the next 3 single crochets, and then turn your work and single crochet back loop only into each and every stitch from the previous row. So single crocheting into the back loop is going to create a ribbing effect for our neckline panel. So slip stitch, single crochet back loop only into each and every stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet back loop only into each and every stitch from the previous row. So since I have a total of 15 stitches, I'll make sure I maintain that number for each and every row. Make sure you don't decrease or increase the number of stitches. Just maintain that number until you get back to the body of the dress, and then slip stitch in each of the next 3 single crochets, and then turn your work. So we're going to basically repeat rows 2 and 3, 2 and 3, until we make it all the way around the neckline opening. So here I am with my last single crochet back loop only, and then you're going to go into each of the next 3 stitches with 1 slip stitch, just like that, and then turn your work and single crochet back loop only in each of the 15 stitches, or whatever number of stitches that you decided to use here. So since I have a total of 3 slip stitches, I'll just consider 1, 2, 3, and that means I start from the 4th. 1, 2, 3, just to make sure I have the same exact number of single crochet stitches, because sometimes the slip stitches will fool you and you think those are stitches, yet in actual sense you're increasing the number of stitches for the ribbing, and you may notice when you're ahead of your work, and that will be a mistake, and you'll have to frog your work. So pay extra attention so that you don't make mistakes at the beginning of this ribbing, because it takes quite a while and you wouldn't want to mess it up at the beginning, and then you have to frog it and repeat it. Chain 1, single crochet back loop only in each and every stitch, all the way back to the body of the dress. Okay, so when you get to the body of the dress, you slip stitch into each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, and then turn your work. Skip the slip stitches 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th, I'm placing my single crochet back loop only. So this is what we have. You can see the ribbed effect has started forming, and you're going to make a chain of 1 and turn, and you're going to keep repeating those rows 2 and 3 until we make it all the way around the neckline opening. And then I'll meet you back towards the end here, and I'll show you what effect this is going to create for our neckline opening of the dress. This is a few rows into the ribbing, and this is what we have. Look how pretty the ribbing is, how beautifully the ribbing is sitting onto the waffle stitch. If you're getting value from this video so far, make sure you hit that like button and share this video with your crochet friends, and don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this video. So let's go ahead and keep working our ribbing, because the moment it goes all the way around the neckline opening, it's going to just be like magic. I can't wait to finish, but it's taking forever because it's not something that works up really fast, so you have to be a little bit patient in order to get what you're looking for. Alright guys, we've made it all the way around the neckline opening, and this is exactly what we have. You should make sure that you're on top of your ribbing, your neckline ribbing. You're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, leaving behind a tail for attaching. So make a chain of 1, and at the back we have this split between the foundation chain of the ribbing and the very last row of the ribbing, and we are going to get our darning needle and thread it using the tail that we've left behind, just like this, and we're going to attach stitch to stitch the foundation chain onto the stitch of the last row. So you should attach a total of 15 times, since we had a total of 15 stitches for our neckline ribbing. Just go into each chain, attaching onto each stitch of the last row of the ribbing. So that's what we're doing right now. We are closing up that opening that we created in order to form a round for our neckline ribbing, and this is exactly what we have. I'll just go into the very last space here, and then I'll push my loose end onto the inside of the dress. I'll weave that in later on, but look what we have right now. And when I lay my work flat, you can see how the neckline ribbing has turned out. Very cute. It's not so wide, and at the same time it's not so compact to distort the shaping of the dress. This is exactly what we have now. We're going to go onto the bottom side of our dress, and we're going to create some sort of fringe at the base. Alright guys, now for the bottom fringe, we are going to attach our strands onto the bottom part, and I'm going to count 10 boxes up. So let me see, counting from this one: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, and I'm going to put a stitch marker on the 11th. The 11th won't get fringes, but all these ones below are going to get fringes. So I have cut strands of about roughly 7 inches and they're the ones that I'm going to attach onto the bottom side of the dress. So you're going to get one strand, and you're going to attach it in the stitches in between the front post double crochets. So we have 2 double crochets in between the 2 front posts, and you will attach into the first one and 1 into the second one, just like that. And then you get the next one, skip the front post and attach into the next double crochet, and get the next strand and attach into the next double crochet. So we're not attaching a fringe into the front post double crochets, only into the double crochets in between the 2 front posts. And we're going to do that all the way around, and keep doing that also on the lower rows. I'm going to first skip 1 row and then place on the next, skip 1 row and place onto the next, and I see how that will look like. If I feel like they're still a bit scanty, then I will do each and every row. So let me just try it a little bit here, and I see how I like it. If I don't, then I will go into each and every. Alright guys, so what I decided to do is, if you want a dense sort of feel for your fringe, then you're going to go into each and every row. The rows that I'm talking about are these topmost layers of the boxes. You're going to go into each of them. But if you want a sort of light feel and you don't want your dress to become very heavy at the base, you're going to skip 1 and then place on the next, and then skip 1 and place on the next. So for me, I'm going to go for the light feel, because I feel like if I place on each and every row, it's going to become a very heavy dress at the base, and the waffle stitch is already dense enough and thick enough. So I will go for the lighter feel and come back and show you what everything will look like. For now, I've worked only 2 layers, and I think I like the feel of this. I will skip the next and then place onto this row, and then skip the next and place onto this row, skip this one, place onto this one, and I think that will be it. So let me just go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show you what everything will look like. Alright guys, now that we are done with the fringes, this is what they look like. We're going to go on to cleaning up the edges of the armholes. So you're going to grab your yarn, and we're just going to clean it up the same exact way that we did for the neckline. So go into any stitch here at the base of the armhole, attach your yarn and single crochet in each and every stitch. Until you get to the double crochet rows. So 1 single crochet into each and every stitch, and then when you get to the double crochet rows, when you get here, you're going to place 1 single crochet into that same in the corner, and then start placing 1 single crochet in each and every double crochet row. Sorry, 2 single crochets. 2 single crochets in each and every double crochet row, just like we did when we were cleaning up the edging of the neckline before we started the ribbing. So when you make it all the way around, you will place 1 single crochet in the corner and then slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round. slip stitch there, chain 1, and cut your yarn. So now we are done with cleaning up the edges, the very first edge of the first sleeve. This is what we have. We're going to repeat the same exact process for the opposite side. You can see how wonky this edge is and how neat this one is. So you just push the tails to the back, and you can maybe tie a double knot or weave them in using a darning needle. That's entirely up to you. You can do as you wish, as long as you get rid of the loose ends. Okay, so this is what we have. A very clean edge for our armhole. We're going to repeat the same exact process on this side, and then we shall see the final look of our dress. So guys, once you're through with the armhole edging, you'll see a very big change from what we had before. It's much neater. So once you're done with this part, you're going to turn your work onto the back side, and you're going to make a long chain of about 200 chains, and you're going to weave it in and out of every box, like skip a box and then go under and over one box, like that, from side to side. So I'm having from this side to this side, something like that. This is the drawstring that I have created, and make sure it's only going through this back side of the dress, not through the front side. So from there, this will depend on how small your waist is. So if I can zoom out a little bit, this is going to gather when we tie this drawstring together, to gather a few stitches to the back, so that we create a waistline shaping at the front of the dress, as you'll see later on. So you can see what that has created around the waistline, that this is a little bit tight. So let's see what the final dress looks like. Also, another thing that I have to point out, if you want your fringe to go up, don't hesitate to do that. You keep skipping one row and then attach onto this one, skip one row and attach onto this one. So do whatever suits your liking, and let's see what our dress looks like. And for now, this is the end of the tutorial. If you liked this one, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out the written pattern and the related videos to the waffle stitch. We still have many, and you can try out all of them and let me know how you like them. So let's see the final look of our dress, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.